cities are not built where people choose. They are built where the land allows. Look closely at any world map. Cities cluster along coasts and rivers. Vast interiors sit merely empty. This pattern repeats on every continent. It is too consistent to be accident. Something deeper is choosing these locations. The land itself is doing the deciding. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every city begins with one ancient question. Can people stay alive here long enough to build something? The answer almost always involves water. Fresh water for drinking, farming, and moving goods cheaply. That is why rivers are the original city makers. Look at London, Paris, Cairo, Shanghai, Baghdad. Each one sits on a river that shaped its destiny. The river feeds it, defends it, and connects it. Before engines, water was the fastest highway on Earth. Moving a ton by boat cost almost nothing. Moving that same ton by cart was punishingly expensive, so trade naturally clustered where boats could reach. This single fact built most of human civilization. The map of old cities is really a map of navigable water. But not every river spot becomes a great city. The geography must offer something extra. A bend, a fall line, a meeting of two rivers. These tiny features decided which towns would explode. Take the fall line of the American East Coast. It is where flat coastal plains meet harder rock. Boats coming up rivers suddenly hit waterfalls. They had to stop, unload, and reload their cargo. Wherever this happened, towns appeared almost overnight. Richmond, Raleigh, and Trenton all sit on this exact line. The geography forced people to pause there, and wherever people pause, commerce grows. Now think about confluences, where rivers meet. These spots double the trade arriving and leaving. St. Louis, Khartoum, Pittsburgh, Lyon, Wuhan, all sit where two great waterways become one. Coasts work by a similar logic, but coasts add something rivers cannot offer. They open the city to the entire world ocean. Suddenly, trade is not regional but global. Yet not every coast becomes a great port. Most coastlines are surprisingly hostile to ships. A great port needs deep, sheltered, ice-free water. It needs protection from storms and easy land access behind. These conditions are far rarer than they sound. That is why Singapore, Rotterdam, and New York dominate trade. Their harbors are geographic lottery tickets. Nature handed them an unfair advantage. New York has a deep, natural harbor protected by islands. Behind it, the Hudson cuts inland through mountains. That single corridor reaches the Great Lakes and beyond. No other East Coast city had this combination. So New York grew while rivals stayed small. Geography quietly chose the winner. Climate also draws an invisible line around cities. Too cold, and farming cannot feed a population. Too dry, and there is simply nothing to drink. Too wet, and disease and flooding take over. The sweet spot is narrower than most people realize. Most of humanity lives within it, packed together. This is why Canada's population hugs its southern border. The north is beautiful but brutally expensive to live in. It is why Australians cling to coastal strips. The interior is hot, dry, and far from water. It is why Egypt is essentially the Nile. Step away from the river, and life becomes impossible. Cities are basically the worn, watered exceptions in a harsh world. Terrain is another silent city planner. Flatland is gold for builders and farmers. Mountains protect, but they also isolate. Steep slopes make roads, pipes, and rails painfully expensive. That is why most megacities sit on plains. The North China Plain holds hundreds of millions of people. The Ganges Plain, the Po Valley, the Great Plains, flat, fertile, and easy to connect. But sometimes mountains create cities too. They do it by funneling movement through narrow passes. Any town guarding a critical pass becomes powerful. Geneva, Innsbruck, and Kabul all grew this way. Control the choke point, and you control the trade. Geography hands you a position you did not earn. Resources also pull cities out of empty land, a mountain of iron, coal, oil, or gold. Suddenly, people pour into places no one wanted before. Johannesburg rose from gold beneath dry grassland. Dubai grew from a quiet pearl fishing village. oil rewrote its entire future in 50 years. Houston, Calgary, and Baku tell similar stories. The resource came first, the city followed. But resource cities carry a hidden risk. When the resource fades, the city often fades too. Detroit was once the Silicon Valley of cars. Its geography for steel and shipping made it perfect. When the industry shifted, the city emptied. Geography giveth, and geography taketh away. Defense once shaped cities as much as trade. People wanted walls, hills, rivers, and islands around them. That is why so many old capitals sit on hills. Edinburgh, Athens, and Jerusalem all chose high ground. Islands and peninsulas were even better. Venice, Stockholm, and Mont-Saint-Michel hid behind water. Modern weapons made these defenses obsolete, but the cities those defenses created still stand. Their crooked streets and old stone walls remain. Geography from 1,000 years ago still shapes daily life. Now think about where empires placed their capitals, almost always at a crossroads they could control. Istanbul guards the strait between two seas. Moscow sits at the heart of a river network. Beijing watches over the gateway between steppe and plain. Each capital is geography wearing a crown. Roads then reinforce what geography began. Once a city wins, every new road bends toward it. Railways arrive and follow the same logic, then airports, fiber cables, and shipping routes. Each new layer locks the city further into place. Success becomes self-reinforcing across centuries. This is why old cities are so hard to kill. Even bombed flat, they tend to rise again. The geography that made them valuable does not disappear. The river still flows, the harbor still shelters, the path still leads somewhere. Quick question for you here. If you could live in any city on Earth, which one would you choose, and why that exact place? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them, and the geography behind your choice is often fascinating. Now back to the story, because something strange happens in the modern era. For most of history, geography was destiny. A city without a river or harbor simply could not grow. But then humans began bending geography. Canals, dams, tunnels, and desalination plants changed the rules. Suddenly, cities could appear where nature said no. Las Vegas blooms in a desert that should be empty. Phoenix sprawls across land with almost no rain. Dubai builds skyscrapers on sand and salt water. These cities exist because engineering overrode geography, but the override is expensive and fragile. Pull the plug on imported water, and they wither. Geography did not vanish, it just got outsourced. Meanwhile, technology shifted what cities even need. Coal towns no longer need coal seams underfoot. Tech hubs need universities, airports, and good weather. Silicon Valley grew on sunshine and Stanford, not on minerals. Bangalore became a tech capital partly through climate. Mild temperatures and English-speaking talent did the rest. So the rules evolved, but geography still whispers. It just whispers about different things now. Today, the new geography is connection. Fiber optic cables, data centers, and airline hubs. Cities that sit on global flight networks thrive. Cities that fall off the network quietly shrink. Even in the digital age, place still matters. People want to be near other talented people. This is why finance clusters in a few cities worldwide, London, New York, Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo. The pattern is ancient. The goods are just newer. Ideas now flow where ships once did. There's one more force shaping where cities grow. It is the slow pull of climate change. Coastlines that built empires now face rising seas. Some great cities will spend fortunes defending themselves. Meanwhile, colder regions are slowly becoming livable. Northern Canada and Siberia hold future possibilities. The map of tomorrow's cities will not match today's. Geography is not finished, choosing winners and losers. So when you look at a busy skyline, remember this. That city is standing on an invisible argument. An argument between rivers, coasts, mountains, climate, and resources. The skyline is just the visible part of the answer. Every great city is a conversation with its land. The land asked a question, and people answered with stone, steel, and streets. Move the river, and the city moves. Block the harbor, and the city fades. Cities feel permanent, but they are really negotiations. Negotiations between human ambition and physical geography. The buildings change, the people change, the flags change. But the reasons the city exists almost never do. That is the real secret hiding in plain sight. Cities are not random dots on a map. They are the visible memory of geography itself. Each one marks a spot where the land said yes. If this gave you a new way to see maps, leave a comment with a city that surprises you most. And subscribe and hit the bell for more on how the world really works. Because once you understand the why of where, you never look at a map the same way again.